it was far too severe. In my time there was far greater reverence for the clergy. You had to doff your cap for the clergy. You had to get off the footpath if there was only room for one. You had to get off the foot. All that silly nonsense, actually. The Catholic Church has become far more loving and caring. They're far more humble. That's the word I was looking for. The clergy are far more humble and loving today. I won't say loving, I'll leave out loving, actually. The church is sad, but the people are suffering far too much pride about our religion. They want to take over more control. They have too much control at the moment. There's no control, very little control now in the Catholic Church. The priests are afraid to speak out or anything, you know. And their immorality too, it has brought them down. Pride mostly. Not many, but a tiny minority of women say they want to become priests. And the late Padre Pio, with whom I was very friendly with, he was asked that question, to know, should women be allowed to become priests? And the answer he gave was, he said, if Jesus wanted to be a priest, he'd have chosen his own mother. He said, no, that they have their own place in the church. They should have more far control, which is given to them now, but they're trying to look for a bit too much. Yes. He said, no, it's not that. He said that what he inferred, okay, I won't say that, what he inferred was that the clergy should devote his whole life to his flock, whereas if he was married, he'd have his family to be thinking of and his wife to be thinking of everything. That he couldn't concentrate much as a single clergy would do. It wasn't sinful or anything, but one man, one job, if you like. He refused no man or woman who continued practicing contraception. Forgive them, but if they intended to continue, he gave them no absolution. Because he said, and he had it from God himself, he was in daily conversation with God, he said that birth commences at the moment of intercourse, if you like. Life commences, I'll put it a different way for you. Life commences in the womb. My mother became seriously ill. She was diagnosed as a cancer patient. A friend of mine told me about Padre Pio. I had never heard him. He said, why don't you write to Padre Pio? So I wrote to him, and I didn't know the difference. I asked him if he would cure my mother. I read a book on his life by Reverend Charles Carty. I couldn't believe it, all the gifts he had. So I wrote to him and I asked him no to cure my mother. And if not, that she would die without knowing she would die. And I got back a reply from one of the secretaries, Capuchin priest, that he was praying for my intentions. On the 4th of October, 1959, I was sent for the hospital where she was undergoing radium. So she got a clot between the lung and the heart. Okay? She died, she got a second clot, they dissolved the first one, she dissolved the second one. And she died in my arms at 2:30 in the morning. Same hours Padre Pio died, the same death, the clot dissolved, second clot, without knowing she would die and die without pain. I went to send out money to get Masses celebrated for her, and I met a young priest. He came to Rochester College to study the English language, Father Eusebio. We became friends. He was 11 months here, and he invited me to meet Padre Pio. So I went, and I arrived on the 4th of October. It was the 5th of October, I was also his father's death as well as mine. His anniversary Mass is celebrated, so was mine. And I ran out of the church and I saw all the sufferings at Mass. And on the following day I was in the church, and he turned around and looked at me and said to me, 2,000 in the church, my son, you did not come here to save your mother's soul. Your mother who is in heaven, and I brought you to meet me. So I fell in love with him. I decided to work voluntary out on the correspondence for a time, 1960. So I've travelled there several times since, and I met him several times. I was in his arms. And he was the nearest thing in my life to infinite love. He loved you. He suffered for you. What he used to say, I said once or twice a week, when there is room in my body for another wound to be inflicted on it, then I ask our beloved Jesus to inflict the wound of a wound. He was suffering for people. He had a hospital built there, had 1,500 patients and 2,000 of the staff up on the mountain. He was prepared to die at any time and offered himself to God. I will give you one story about him. This man came one day to confession of Padre Pio, and he was suffering cancer. And he told that to Padre Pio after confession. And Padre Pio turned around to him and said, "Do not worry, you are now cured of cancer. I have taken your suffering for you." I asked him when I was 41 years of age at that time. And one day I asked him what was my vocation in life. And he gave me an indirect answer. He said, "Marriage is a great vocation in life." So I knew then that I was thinking of going to become a lay worker in the Capuchin leper colony in Cape Town. And I knew then that that was not for me. So I went up after about a week. I prayed for about a week. And I went up and I asked him if I came back to Ireland, married, if we had children, called our first child Pio after himself, take on the task of making him known for the sake of others, and devote my life to the sick and suffering. Would it please him? And he said yes. So I knew my vocation in life. But he'd be praying out loud to Jesus, continuously out loud. Our Lady used to appear on the altar every morning for his Mass. I saw Our Lady myself, actually. I saw Our Lady. Our beloved Jesus appeared to me, and so did Padre Pio after he died several times. And I have witnesses to that.